40 seconds to open. We are looking at opening sort of mid-range. It was a 100-point overnight range from 906 to 806. So we're sitting below VWAP again. Our 30-minute NASDAQ kind of bouncing off that 806, which was a key level pretty much yesterday all day. We'll see what happens. S&P's also bouncing. 8 seconds till the open. So let's see what happens. And we are open. Okay, gonna have my tilt over here. Sir, welcome. All right, so we pushing up into VWAP, up into this big zone that I have here. Yesterday, I'm not looking for something right this second, so I'm gonna go to yesterday where I tried that short right around that 812 level, 812 to 806. 806 was pretty important overnight. Obviously, it was the bottom of the zone, so it was a level that I thought was kind of important. We ranged between 806 and this zone all the rest of the day, pretty much, up until the close at 3. We wicked down below it and then closed right back above it at 16,829.50. So pretty much overnight was a range, flat, and then it rallied overnight right around 3 a.m., pushed up to that 906 and then faded back off. So we do have, what's tomorrow? PPI? CPI? One of those numbers tomorrow. I have it in my analysis. It is a CPI tomorrow, core inflation. So today might be some sort of choppy wait and see number thing because we are, looking to see if they're going to cut rates come the March meeting. So at some point during the day, I'll kind of go over that thought process on the rate cuts and stuff and how it affects the futures markets and all the markets in general and what they're thinking. So that'll be today's little education section. It really will go into the numbers and stuff. So our opening range at the moment for the NASDAQ is about 92 ticks. Not a terrible risk. On the S&Ps, it seems a bit bigger. It's only 20-something ticks in the S&P, but it doesn't move as quick. So it's going to be a little bit of a chopped session. We did pretty much, if you want to call it a gap, we filled it up, right? Yesterday's close is here. We chopped around it all morning, so we pretty much opened on it. So there's really nothing as far as inventory is concerned there. We were closer to the lows, could rotate back to the highs of the overnight session, clean those up, and then see what happens from there. We are now sitting above VWAP, so at general adage there, buy above, sell below. So currently, it looks a little stronger than anything. So if we flush the overnight low, the plan will be wait to see if it accepts below 806.50, between 806 and 812 in that zone, and then you look for that push back down to downside at 762 and the levels from yesterday. If we do continue to push up, I do have these two zones here. I will show you my, I gotta find it. There it is. Trading view chart. We are at another key zone of mine here, right? Looking back, we had it pretty important there. It was pretty important here. And now we touched above it in that overnight session, and we are going to be testing it again. We'll see. This is a 30-minute chart, so you're going to get that price action off these levels pretty consistently. You got this one here where we wicked right down to it and popped back up. We tested above it, came back down. We tested it again. We only got up to 873, and now we're rotating a little bit back down. So if we do see another, let's call it a 30-minute candle that does reject this zone, you could see that return back to the bottom half. I have no clear-cut direction at the moment. I'm gonna kind of just be patient with it. Like I said, because of the numbers tomorrow, we might stay a little tighter today than we did the last 2 days. But the market's crazy, it does what it wants, and it will go rally another 200 points if it wants to. Got pretty directional delta, right? You can see that it's a strong push upside, still the strong push upside. Don't have any divergence there. If you're looking for a momentum trade, possibly it's a useful tool here to kind of get your confluence on that breakout. The the S&Ps are on the 30. They're breaking above the high from the overnights and yesterday's high. So we'll see if it accepts. If the S&P can hold above these levels and drive up the price, NASDAQ possibly could follow. But right now, NASDAQ is also not making that new high. So yesterday you saw the divergence a bit between the two. NASDAQ yesterday was breaking highs from overnight session and previous session. Excuse me. And the S&Ps was not. And today the S&Ps are, and the NASDAQ is not. Right, you can see the difference right there. NASDAQ did not break this overnight high. S&P did. And now we're kind of just seeing which one is the leader today. Maybe we'll get that good indication. If we see the S&P take off, I may look to follow that trend with the NASDAQ. If not, if it fails these levels, and then the NASDAQ also starts to fail, then that will add our confluence. You could kind of see, right? Like normal opening, the last 2 days, not normal. The last 2 days, you'd get this opening bar, then you would push up and then carry on and keep going. Or if you did, you'd fade off and you'd get a big, volume candle push down. Or today we're getting the immediate push, and now we're just chopping. There's not a clear direction. We're really not understanding any sort of trade idea here. 73 seems to be acting as that key resistance. Like I said, this number I didn't draw it up today. I just turned on the chart and it's still there from previous sessions. But you can see that it did react. Not here, but at the 4:30 a.m. all the way through, right? It played with this level pretty much all night, all the way till 5:30, and then once it broke back down and accepted it, it pushed back right to the VWAP, and then we played with VWAP, right? So these levels they play out over and over and over again. It's just a matter of, is this time the time that it breaks it? Is it the time that it uses it and then fades? Really kind of just got to make your game plan and push it. Comes to tilt, we do not have it's a 66% long at this point. So really that's not like a heavy tilt for me. I think anything over 75%, you're starting to see where like way too many people are long or way too many people are short. You can see the delta is kind of just congruent with the move. So we're really possibly just looking at another bullish day. I may look to take a breakout of the 73 to just rotate back to the high of the overnight session. That's a pretty good trade there. It's not terrible. Just because it's reacting as such good resistance, once it does crack, it should give you a little bit of a pop. If you do get that pop and fade, though, that could be your signal to rotate back down to the overnight low, both of which don't have terrible risk, right? Like even if I took this 73 breakout, I'm only going to risk my $200 on that. And then if you take the fade, you're only going to risk to the high of whatever the wick is. So probably another $200. So either way, that trade does seem to play as far as risk to reward. I did not put the S&P numbers out there. I will type the TradeCaster link in the chat for the YouTubes. Tradecaster.com. If you want to head over there, make an account, do the free trial. My account will always be free, at least for the foreseeable future, until we can build up a nice little community over there. And then I'll start trading mainly on that TradeCaster starting January 22nd, almost exclusively over there. It's a community for traders, by traders. It's a really good platform. It's got a lot of good resources and a lot of good traders, so pretty cool. It's in the link in the bio and in the chat, so if you want to click it, you're more than welcome to go over there and check it out. It's going to ask for a monthly membership. Just do the 7-day free trial, try it out, and then at the end, if you don't want to pay for it, you can still access my stream for free. Okay, so we're rejecting that level there. We do have the VWAP here. So like I said, we're still sitting in this, how many ticks? It's 98 ticks, 100 ticks we'll call it, little range here since that first break. I do not have very much confluence telling me anything, right? I'm in the middle of this yellow zone. The yellow zone isn't an exact level that I want to short or long from. It's just something from the past that I saw was pretty important. Let's see how far back it goes, because I draw these up pretty far. Okay, so it's from December 13th. It was the high. You can see why I take these zones the way I do, right? It's a high of a range where there was a bunch of liquidity, and then it was a breakout point. When we came back down, we kind of just flushed right through it, but as we came back up, it reacted again. So it did stay important through that point in December. Then again, at the beginning of this year, and then let's see on the way back up. Now we're here, we're sitting at that same level, right? So use the liquidity zones, near term, long term. It really depends on what you're looking at, what time frame you're looking at. If you're looking at this now, we're on a 15. You could see how the overnight session popped above it, and then we used this 73 level. Right now, it ticked that 73 level again. This candle on the 15, it's even though it's green, it's still right in the middle of its range, right? We don't know if it's gonna, it'll close in 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. So you can kind of see a little bit better of an idea. I don't usually use the 15. It's just easier to look back at certain levels. It does help to show that really we're still in this range from here to here. We haven't broken that range. We did a little bit in the overnight. Could that have been the false breakout? Then we were returning, and now we're going to rotate back down. Don't know. Could it be that that's where the price wants to go? Possibly, right? Because we held the bottom again, and then we're pushing back up. If we do break these highs and then sit and then look to go along again, that could be a potential play there, back up to these levels here into the 17,000s. The reasoning thinking, right, if we would go back to the chart from here, my purple zone again, right? My weekly write-up on January 1st was, I'll go kind of through it again. We were at these all-time highs, pushed up on low liquidity, small-time players. Basically said that anybody coming back in, any hedge funds, big banks, any sort of big player, they're not buying at these all-time highs. They want the price to go up there, I'm sure. However, they weren't in, and they didn't get it to play to get to these all-time highs. So any thought of them buying here is probably a bad idea, right? So my thought was it was going to sell off. It was going to return back to at least the previous highs, which was over here. This was the July high, this white line. We broke back down below it, cleared it all out. This purple zone was the 2021 highs, and it was a range that I thought was pretty important. We flushed that range, and now we're buying back up. We have the beginning of this week, higher liquidity, kids back in school. A lot of really good reasons for bigger players now. Okay, we cleared back down below those 21 highs. They were buying all last year, which was 2022. So if they could get prices down here, that's cheap for them. Could we see all-time highs again? Probably. And that could be why we're rallying this week, right? We're going to get that push back up to where we were, and then we'll see what happens. We also could just fade this move, right? Because we're right at this pretty key level of that first breakout. That was around the rollover time. Well, actually, it was rollover was the 11th. So that was the initial first push above since. So we're at that level again. Could we roll back down and then catch some more longs? Probably down back at the top of the zone, that 692 700 level, and push back up. We could. So these are the things I'm thinking about while I'm trading. 15-minute candle closed right in the middle of its bar, right? So to me, that doesn't tell me anything. It's it's not quite an indecision candle, right? It's not we didn't wick down, wick back up, but it isn't deciding very much. We are pushing back to the bottom of that zone, so I'm gonna go back to my 1 minute, look for my shorts to play out, possibly. That opening range, if you get a failure of the bottom of the opening range and it holds there, that's a good indication that we're probably going to continue down lower. That means we're possibly leaving the opening range high as the very high of the day. But we're sitting on VWAP, right? The price is not doing anything. It's just sitting at VWAP. Nothing here tells me that it's going to be useful. Nothing gives me a cheap trade, or nothing gives me an edge to get my money and get out, right? I always say, I'm not here looking to catch the whole entire move. I'm here to catch my little piece, and it has to have a good reason behind it. Otherwise, if I just take it, that's when I blow up. I just keep taking it and taking it and taking it just to take it, and that's that. So really a good trade idea for me today. At this point, this VWAP is coinciding with the point of control, this bottom of the zone here. If I can get a flush of the bottom here, a retest of VWAP, and then a failure of VWAP to push back down, then you could get that short. If we just melt here and go, what was my entry criteria? I didn't have anything, so I can't feel bad about about not chasing it, right? There wasn't anything for me to do there. As far as that 73 level, my strategy, I would call it, it's not like written in stone, right? Sometimes I will take this where it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth rejection off of that, and the nice little harder rejection, right? Like I could have shorted at the top of the opening range and then taken it down. But most of the time with a level, if it's a key number, I like to get that manipulation candle, a liquidity grab, and then get the flush. So it doesn't quite exactly meet my criteria, because the reason I want that is because I want that to be a stop run where bigger players are grabbing more orders, and then the likelihood of it actually succeeding and pushing down a little bit harder is actually more likely, right? It's not just to do it, like there's a great rejection. That's telling me that 73, 75 is a key level. If we come back to it again, I would like to see what I just explained, right? That wick off, the liquidity grab, stop run, whatever you want to call it, market makers doing what they do. It's really just a high order block looking to grab it and come back down the other way. But then when you break it, right, if you continue to break it and then you hold it and then you use it as support, you could look to catch the long up through the overnight highs. So these are the theses. Until they get to these zones and do some of these behaviors. And like I said, I know Ray gets a little anxious looking at the 1 minute, and I can understand why people do. Today is slower, right? So it's really a lot easier to see kind of what's going on. Some days it's just running around. I just like the behavior on the one where I can see if it's speeding up or slowing down or what just happened in the last quick second, right? I can see that manipulation on the candle, and that behavior kind of tells me a little bit about the story of what's going on at that level, and then I can make a more informed decision. That's not like I'm using 1 minute levels, and my levels are from daily, 30-minute, 15. They're zones, so they're not exact, and especially with the Nasdaq, it's impossible to be exact because it runs levels by 10 points and then comes back. We're rejecting VWAP a bit here. S&Ps are still pushing up above those highs, and Nasdaqs are fighting it. I want to look quick at, let's see what Apple's doing. Yesterday we went over the weightings of what's driving the Nasdaq, right? 55% of all of the Nasdaq is by like 7 stocks: Apple, Amazon, Google, Nvidia. All these names, these big tech names, are the heavier weighted stocks on here. So you can see that Apple overnight sell off. Right now it's kind of also just sitting at the bottom below the point of control. Does it have room to go down to catch some more liquidity and go up? Probably. But if Apple pops, you might get that pop. Amazon, I know you don't like it, but the longer you build a relationship with one instrument, I feel like that ends up happening, is where you start to go down and down and down in time frame, because you just try and get more and more information out of stuff. I can understand why it whips you out though, because there is some wild movement that occurs. All right, so the 30-minute on the Nasdaq is actually pushing down. Oop. We're rejecting that level, right? That's a pretty good indication that we look at that 30-minute. We got there, and we're gonna break down below 815, that 800 level. See, there's that sell-off. And then now we're wicking back above value area. The 815 level, right? 812, 806. That's what I'm looking at, right? Flush that overnight low. And then on the 1 minute, I'm going to be able to see, is this a liquidity grab? Is this a sustained move? If we just break down and hold, I'm going to look to take a short, at least down to 62. Well, at least try to get it to 62. I'm going to trail it. Right, you got this big wick here down to 75. This is a pretty important level. Okay. So like I said, this short would have been a good idea from the high here, only because of this move, but I didn't get that full liquidity grab signal to get me in. I didn't get a huge divergence. It was pretty decent, right? It pushed back up, and then the delta never pushed back up. I'm doing a little bit of more talking and a little less trading, but it's kind of keeping me out of some positions here. I like this move, but I think still that we're going to get at least one more push back to 62. 62 would be the nice entry. I mean, at target. I know I have this 76 that I just drew up here, right, because of this wick from yesterday. That breakdown out of that range, but I'm going to wait to get my entry. I need to see it hold a little bit here. If it just runs full volume, big red candle, I'm not going to chase it. I will look for an entry on the return back to here. But if we just tickle it and push down, it doesn't look like a liquidity grab, and then holds, then I'll look to get my short on a cheap trade, maybe the second or third touchdown through and down to 62s. Now if we return to VWAP, like I said, I don't use VWAP as an entry criteria. However, it's good indication that if it does hold below and then start to sell back off, that we will likely have a continued sell-off. If we push back above it and then return back to this zone here, we're really not doing anything that's going to help us. What is this? I hate when this pops up. Here we go. Patience, patience, patience. The less I do, the better. That's my thought process is. I mean, my statistics really show it. I don't have like a hard set, spreadsheet out that says when I do this, I do that. I know when I make more than a handful of trades a day, I am not doing what I want to be doing. Unless I'm like home run, home run, home run. That's a very, very, very rare day. Anytime I'm usually taking more than 3 to 5 trades, it becomes where I'm chasing, I'm re-entering, entering, and I'm not counting. Like, let's say I entered up here, and then I re-entered here on this pullback, and then added. I count that as all as one trade. Your system's not going to count that. It's going to count as another trade, another execution. I'm talking if I'm making more than 3 to 5 like entries on a setup. That's what I'm talking about as far as over trading in a day. If I add and add and add, or if I take off and add, like sometimes like something like this, my strategy would say, okay, we came up, we wicked, we came down. If I want to get in with, let's say, 2 contracts and we push down. Okay, we push down to my key level down here at 812. I'm going to take one off down here, and then now I have one on. Let's say this pulls back up into here, and then I add one at VWAP or add one at the zone and the rejection and roll back down. I kind of like to play with one and leave that original one on. Those, like I said, don't count towards my over trading journey for a day. That's just managing one position. If you can eventually, if you do micros, or if you do like to trade with a few contracts on the full contract, then you should look to do that. I think in my experience of putting on or trying to scale in to a full size of 2, 3, 5, whatever your full size is, and without increasing your risk, right? If you can manage your risk appropriately, where okay, my out is the top of this zone, I'm going to scale into this at 73 as many times as I can up to my max position size. Then as you get to levels, you take off half. And then as you come back, if you feel like your level, nothing is telling you that you should have got out of that original trade, and you're getting a setup for further continue move to the downside, then maybe add back the 3 or the 2 that you took off, and then take it off again at the same spot. So your main position of half, or let's call it, you did 4 contracts, you took off 2, you added 2, you took off 2. That's really you getting that full size off eventually. However, it's maximizing your ability to kind of pull things off. Some people like to just take that trade, full size on the top, full size at take profit, and then just trail. There's different ways to do it. It's just a matter of being able to manage a larger position size. I think when you start to scale up, the only reasonable way to scale up where you're not increasing your risk but you're adding contracts is by shedding some and then re-entering, shedding some and re-entering. And that's how you manage a larger position. Because if you're trying to get in and out of 15, you're going to get slippage, you're going to get not filled on full positions, you're going to get, people who are trading 100 lots, they're not getting filled all the time. They're getting portions of their contracts filled. So they're scaling in, they're scaling out, they're adding, and they're taking some off. So they don't want that slippage. It's sometimes easier to piece in. So that's a strategy as well. My trade is in Mexico. Pretty cool. Unless that's just your phone. So you can see that this level here from the overnight, pre-market, whatever you want to call it, has held here. That S&Ps, I'll show you the S&Ps quick. Look at that wick on that 30-minute. We were holding above it. Holding above this 4,000, we'll call it 804 level. And now we've just completely sold off of it, right? My thought was if this was able to hold, the NASDAQ would also try and catch up. But looks like we're selling off here. It's leading. And then you get to the NASDAQ 30. You're rejecting that 850 and pushing back down. If this 30-minute closes somewhere in this range, and then the next 30 can break down from 815, then you might get that next move to the downside. But it's 815. That's the bottom of this. I got nothing. Tilt is basically 50-50. Average entry 829. It's a very bullish week so far, right? Monday, Tuesday, both days of pretty steady buying. So pullbacks like this are making me leery on selling the bottoms and pushing that down because of how it's been acting the last few weeks. Okay, so some numbers coming out now. Let's see. 10 seconds from now, I'm going to wait. It's nothing that's a high priority. Let's see. Trading economics, calendar, US. Wholesale inventories coming in as expected at negative 0.2%. So nothing crazy. It's still a negative number. But last number was negative 0.4%. We were forecasting negative 0.1, 0.2. So I mean, realistically, it doesn't help or hurt the rate cut. That's the only real driver of the markets right now, aside from any breaking news or war or whatever. Here we go. It's starting to get we're picking up some movement. You can see, I don't know if you can see on here that these candles are speeding up. Speeding up, slowing down. You can see it on the DOM. I need to get my level 2s back. I haven't. I have it on my personal brokerage account. I gotta maybe just pop that up and have it. But when I'm trading on Top Step, I have to buy their live data feeds. Unless I could link the 2 data feeds that I have, I gotta figure that out. But level 2 is useful for me because you can see the order blocks in the book, and you can kind of front run some numbers. But really, I could see this speeding up and slowing down without seeing all the rest of the orders. And I could also see it within the candles. You can't see exact order numbers or what some of the stuff that you're looking at, but I would definitely like to get some more level 2 data back up on this screen. Any tilt here? Still short a little bit. I don't like that it's a little short, but so this kind of setup for me a lot of times plays out for the not reversal, but the next move. If you get that wick of this 12 and then you pop above, that's the chance that it's going to run back up to the highs. Now, if it flushes and holds, let's see what happens, right? Because we're getting those 30-minute candles to break down. With the 5-minute, we usually look for an inside 5 and then down, right? So that's none of these are inside candles. They're all, this broke the bottom. This one is broke the high. Nothing is inside here. And we're getting that push down. So I kind of just, I need to watch this. My plan was to wait to see if it does anything. So there's that wick down. The divergence would have been if this made the new low and the Delta didn't make new lows. So we are congruent here. Delta did make new lows. Price did make new lows. We tickled the overnight low, right? So there is a chance that if tilt gets heavy, it is heavy short. It's about 70%, and it just actually stopped. So there's a chance that we get that little pop off here. If we get one more wick below and then hold back above here, you could possibly look to get your long. If you get a steady hold below here, and then you should fade down to 76, 62 in that zone. But because of the market behavior the last 2 days, I'm kind of leery on taking the short here. Patience pays. This is a good spot to buy. I mean, all the way down to 96. I would like to have gotten that wick a little bit better. If we reaccept into value, I would love to rotate back to the high. But we are below VWAP. A fade return back to the VWAP would be a good risk to reward. If you can get an entry, let's call it above these, back to the zone 625. All right, let's see. Delta short 60%. Delta is kind of pushing back up. S&Ps are holding their opening range. NASDAQ did not hold the opening range. Because of it's just that behavior of the markets that's been a bit tricky for me in my thought processes lately. Yeah, I've been positive but very small, taking very calculated chances. I might take this long here, thinking about it, but it needs to do one more little manipulation move before it breaks back above that 21, that 20. If it does like another little whippy move and then the delta diverges and we don't make another low, then potentially we can get that long back up to VWAP. Trading is unlocked. Yeah, I mean, realistically, most of the time before data, the day before will kind of tend to chop around. So here's that. It's diverging a bit. I'm going to look to go long here on the timing, not here specifically, above 20, because that'll convince me that this is a failed breakdown. Yes, would it be great to bottom ticket? Fantastic, yes. If this holds, then I'm going to look to get my short idea, get back on. But if this moves back up and it moves back up quickly, I want to be involved. Normally, I'm a heavy bearish. I mean, probably because I'm thinking that it's bearish. It's not. It's gonna. I mean that it's gonna actually continue. But based on the levels from the overnight, I want them to clean up the overnight high. If they cleaned up the overnight low, clean up the overnight high. Why not? And then decide on what you're gonna do. If it's gonna be a range day, this is gonna be where the range is established. So that's what I'm thinking. Let's see what happens. I'm probably going to get triggered in and then wicked out. But hey, let's see, give it a shot. My stop is going to be below 15 because that's where that 30-minute candle is. Body, the base of the body. Right now it's lower, but just because I don't want to get wicked in, wicked out. Let me just check the tilt because if it gets very tilty long, I don't want to be in. 820. Short 66%. That's good. I'll take that. Do your thing. The bottom of my value area is 825. So I'm in. I'm long from here. It's probably going to roll over now because I decided to pop in. But let's see. I would love to get it back to VWAP. Just to return that way. Really, it could clear the overnight highs. Just based on if it's going to be a range day. That's my thought process on today, is that it could be a range day. We could be just balanced. We got to accept above 25 for it to be back into value area low, which is trying to do right now. Like I said, I didn't mean to move my stop like that. I want to put my stop below 811 there. It's really should be below 815, but if it dips back below there, it should probably continue down to the downside. So we're at the volume area low. I want to see this push back up now. Like I said, we could have gotten in down here above 812. However, I didn't want to be tricked into getting wicked in and wicked out like I'm kind of doing now. I wanted to be convinced that it was going to be moving back to the upside. I think just based on the way the week has been going, buyers want to be playing. We do need to range a bit before we decide a direction, in my eyes, and just the way the market's been acting. So Let's see if this will play. If not, if I get stopped out, it is what it is. We'll look for another one. I just think that VWAP, the return to VWAP is a good idea here. I need the tilt to be more short, but it's not. Being patient with this. It rejected the value area low, which to me I don't like. That tells me it kind of wants to continue selling off, but the S&P is pushing back above and into their opening range. So there we go. We're getting the push up. I would like to accept above 25. If we could accept above 25 and hold a bit, then I can get my stop to break even. Okay, there we go. There's a push. I'm moving my stop to break even. It's a free trade for me. I'm up. So like I said, I want to at least get to VWAP. If I get to VWAP, I'm moving my stops up to 39. So I could at least, well, I'm actually going to keep my stops just above break even. I like to cover my fees. I'm a stickler for that. So we're going to look to see if we can get that rotation from the low all the way back up to the high. I like it back to VWAP to try and take profit, but with one contract, for me, I don't like to be too picky. That's that value. That's that low. I'm moving my stop a bit. I'm going to trail it just because that's the opening range low. It's a pretty liquid area. That was the top of that zone. I probably should be patient, leave it at the bottom and go. But like I said, I'm really trying to secure profits on days like today or even more. You know what? Yeah, value area low. That's where I want to keep my stop. Yeah. Value area low at 25.50. So I'm going to try and let this thing play to VWAP. You can see kind of the idea of what we did, right? We flushed the bottom, but it was not convicted. We got a slight divergence in the delta. The tilt on the top step was a little bit heavier short. So I was thinking about going long if it rebroke the high, that 20 level, and then rotate back to at least VWAP for the target one. I would love to see it rotate back all the way up to overnight high and clean that up. For me, with one contract, it's very hard for me to hold that long. I could, but it's the first trade of the day. If it fails this overnight, the value area low, then it's likely to roll over. So that's why I have my stop there. It's a good trade. It definitely was the right criteria. Now, at this point, it's just, does it play out all the way like I thought, or does the market do whatever it wants? The S&Ps are leading to the upside a bit. That 30-minute candle has a pretty long bottoming tail. Our 30-minute on the NASDAQ, I don't know if it popped up because my stream shows delayed to me for some reason. There you go. There's a 30-minute on the NASDAQ. You see that long bottoming tail at 806. That's a good rejection. Realistically, nothing should be telling me to get out except for my return to VWAP, right? So if I was just trying to get that return to VWAP, it's pretty close, right? That was the idea. That's a good target to have. Like I told you guys, I'm going to move my stop now up to the bottom of that zone because my target was VWAP. But if I can get more, I can get more. If I get stopped out, I get stopped out. You know what I mean? But if it crushes right through VWAP, I think we rotate all the way back to the highs, the overnight highs, and then we can secure all that. I don't want to. That was to the tick, right? So if it rolls over now and I didn't take it, that's on me. But I believe that our rotation on a range day, that hypothesis is hold this a little bit, right? So now I need to clear that 73. 73 would be nice. I'm going to now move this trail below VWAP. If we fail VWAP, if we fail it, I'm out, right? That was my original target. Boom, boom. I made my money. It is what it is. Now, but if I get that full run, if VWAP decides to act as support now, I can secure a bit more of this trade. So that's where my thought process is walking through all this. It's not thinking about the dollars. It's thinking about the trade process, the risk to reward, right? My risk on the bottom half there was minimal, 200-ish. Depending on how fill wise, but it was structure based. It was a thesis on a rotation on the type of day it could be. The last 2 days were trend days, so the likelihood of a third straight trend day was probably unlikely. Buyers are definitely in this market over the last 2 days, so the data for tomorrow, still people definitely want to buy, right? Because if that comes out in any sort of way negative, where they think, oh man, we're not going to cut rates, then you can start to see this market drop. But until then, it's buy the rumor, sell the news type deal. If we fail VWAP, we fail VWAP, and I'm out. So I'm secured in at $450. If that's what you're concerned about. Get through that. That's an inside one above the VWAP. So if it breaks the high of that, you could expect a little bit of volume, right? A lot of inside candles in the direction of a trend. If they do get broken in the direction of the trend, they tend to carry through with some volume. Like I said, confluences can get you into a trade, but also can keep you into a trade. We got an inside one. Realistically, I'm a bit tight, but that was my target to begin with, so I don't care. Everything after this is free money. You got that delta pushing up. We're pushing up. We're into a zone. We're above VWAP. Tilt is long a bit, but it's long in the direction of where I'm at. It's not like adding. It seems like I got ES now above the value, the opening range high. I have the S&P, the Nasdaq's 30-minute. We'll go S&P 30. You can see S&P 30 is above the opening range here. You got the Nasdaq pushing above that 850 on their 30 with that long bottoming tail. If this indication here doesn't break out our overnight highs, then I don't know what kind of price action you're going to expect to do that kind of move, right? So everything I have here now, like I said, is a free money. I'm not trying to enter and exit. I have my stop at my initial target. As this moves up, I'm going to continue to kind of trail it and see structurally based where I want to get out. Right now, I am currently going to, if I do get up to that 7, really, the break above the opening range here is a key level, right? We rejected 73 hard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I'm gonna move my stop above right below the opening range, because 73, there could be some huge seller right there right now, because that price did not get broken. And if they decide that they're gonna melt it down from there, it could come down, and it could come down real hard, real fast. So I'll move to the top of this area here, and if it holds and rips, then all right, cool, I got that secured. If it doesn't, then if it fails hard, then I'm at least securing that top end. I'm gonna stay right below VWAP. That's my stop. If it stops me out, cool, no big deal. You don't have to watch it.
And then one last piece of news, something Eddie alluded to earlier.
Tease.
Yes.
What is it?
Certain people. Between now and January 31st, they are looking for new drivers for the meter mode. Hot drivers.
So I had that stop at the original VWAP target, and it just almost ticked me out. But now we're holding VWAP. But if we flush the VWAP here, we're out. So now we're out. Very smooth $450 trade. If you have any questions on that, I would love to answer any. Answer on why I entered where I entered, why I had my stop where I had it. If it runs now, it's fine with me. It is what it is. I had my original target at VWAP. If I could, I cost myself another $200 or $300 because I didn't trail super tight, but that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for this to at least try and rotate up to the 73s, and by risking that much to make, another, three. It's basically a 1-to-1 risk. You got to constantly adjust your risk based on your trade, right? If I'm going to be up 400 and I'm going to risk, if I'm up almost 600 and I'm risking 2 of it to make another 2 or 3, that's worthwhile. But if I'm up 6 and I'm risking 6, what's the point? Like, I'm not looking for, with one contract and based on this kind of trade potential and the type of day it is, the range day, I'm not risking a huge bit of this move to give it back, right? Like I said yesterday, I took $150 because if the market's going to give me 150, I'll take it, right? I'm very happy with the way we talked through that and executed it. We got into a liquidity zone, and now we're selling back off again. So S&P is sitting in the middle of its opening range. NASDAQ is at the bottom half of the opening range. So really, we caught the move that was there, and now we're out. No camera. My bad. I didn't have that. I had it on the 30-minute. My fault. Thank you, Temp. Oh, I don't know what happened there. Something's going on. There we go. It should have switched, which it didn't, I don't think. Oh, it did. Okay, cool. I need to get one more screen, I guess, because I have one screen for my normal charts that you can see. I have a screen that I have the YouTube chat, and I got Tradecaster, and I got OBS on like a bottom tab. And sometimes when you're streaming, the YouTube stream doesn't show me live. It probably shows to you live, but it doesn't show to me live, which is odd. It just like lags back. Right now we're looking to. I still believe that full rotation will occur, but just got to kind of keep an eye on it and see if you can get that next entry to get back in. I'm not looking to enter at any of these levels here. Possibly you could look to go short again, right? You're getting that divergence if you push back up into this level and then sell back off and get below VWAP. Maybe that's what I would look for as far as a rotation dip. But as far as my original thought, that is a totally possible move where we're going to flush the low, the overnight low, flush the overnight high, and then decide what we're going to do from there. It just takes a bit of time for these trades to play out. My thought was use the VWAP as a target from the fade of the extreme. So that was exactly what I did. I set my take profit, my trailing stop right below where my original target was. And if I could get that continued follow through, if this would have pushed up above the initial opening range, then we'd trail back up there. But it didn't quite get there, and now look, we're rolling over. So realistically, my initial target was the right target. Just because it runs through by 10 points doesn't mean that's the right move to catch the rest of that. If this is going to use VWAP as support, then it would have held and went. So now we're rolling back over a bit. Range day, choppy day. I'm very happy with the move that I caught. So we're going to be really patient on it. I'll stay on and talk through anything that you guys want to talk through. If you have a trade that you are thinking about or looking at, right now I'm not in a rush to give back my 400, 450. If I could see another A+ setup, then we will call it out and get it going. But if you have something that you want to talk about, let me know. Right now, this price action is not anything that I would love to see anybody trade. The only thing I could see is that Delta is pushing down a little bit. If it does break down, then you will look to see the price break down a bit also. I know on YouTube my little Policing Pips thing I think covers my face. While we have a quick second, I am going to show you the Tradecaster screen for anybody who's on YouTube and doesn't know what Tradecaster is. On January 22nd, I will move this to here. On January 22nd, we are all the new streamers that have joined over on Tradecaster will be live officially. I have done it starting this week because I wanted to bug it out, see what kind of nuances or things that I want to adjust are on it. But if you go over to tradecaster.com, you can go to the lobbies. I'm going to do it in another tab because I don't know if it'll mess up my stream over there, but you can go to lobbies. You can see who's live. You can see mine. Green is free. Deck, big time deck, paid. He's trading equities. You can see he's a momentum equities options guy, the stock down options guy, AK-47, same deal. Then you got myself, it's a futures trader. You got Buddy's future, J Trades is an options guy, and then you can see all these other people down here that are not currently live. Right, they're just in the chat. But you can click on my name, hop into my lobby here. I got my hours, what I include. I set my alerts on top here. I'm going to put levels in here, or if there's a setup that I see that's like a home run setup, something that I would take every single time, I'll type it into this message here. Otherwise, I'm talking out my trade. So if you're listening and you're not looking at that chart, you can hear what I'm saying, and you can look at your own chart and make your own decisions. Much of the time, I put a level, right? Key price point. And then I say, have a plan, do not trade it. Just, I'll give you keynotes in there. And here, this is the chat where everybody can kind of type, talk. This is my stream, right? This is currently where we're at. I'm just showing you what we're looking at. I have different things that I'm streaming, but you'll have different buttons down here. You could change this chart to be whatever you want it to be. Like if we're trading NASDAQ here, you could change it to the NASDAQ chart. I got all the economic events here, so you can do what you want in here. The notepad, I believe, is just for you. You could type in what you want, and then just a little bit about me and the stream info. So I'm going to adjust the screen a bit here and there to kind of make it more conducive for people. But if you do like it, go over, click the link. It's in the YouTube chat as well as in the bio for this. I think it's the little thing on the bottom of the YouTube video. My stream, like it says here, is free. You can sign up for the 7-day trial, and then if you don't pay at the end of the 7-day trial, you'll still have access to my stream here. You won't be able to click on any of the paid ones, but you will be able to get me. You'll get Active Trader, your buddy. You can get all these guys. So if you get bored of me and eventually you want to pay for it and you feel like going to make a ton of money with Deck, he's straight, penny stocks and options. He'll trade everything, SPYs, Qs, everything he wants to trade. He sends out alerts. He does a really great job. He's the owner of this. But yeah, if you want to pay and go see him, or if some of these free other ones, if you're bored and I made one trade and now I don't want to talk about trading anymore, and you want to go see somebody else, there's a huge room. It's all traders. You don't have to go searching YouTube for the next guy or whatever. Yeah, so it's pretty good. And then once you pay for it, if you go in the Dex room, you pay whatever the monthly fee is for the Tradecaster membership, and he alerts you a nice, one trade that pays for your membership, then it pays for itself, right? But I'm out here just trying to give you the best knowledge I can. So tradecaster.com, that's where I'm going to be streaming January 27th, pretty much indefinitely. So we are going to go back to the live screen. Move this back over here. And we are back. So you're getting that little bit of a continuation on this trade. If you were to stay in, if you would have just left your stop at break even or below the value area low and expected this to rotate, like however you manage your trades is how you manage your trades. I can't tell you there's a perfect way because there's not. I don't believe that that's a thing. So if you are an enter and then let it get all the way to your target, you're still looking good, right? You're holding above VWAP. There's nothing telling you to completely exit this trade. You would be perfectly fine sitting at break even if you're willing to give back everything that you made. You'd be sitting. And also, like I said, I called out this entry. If we wick here, get a little bit of divergence, you could take the entry. So if you entered even a few ticks below where I entered, that's another 100 and something bucks that you could have been making. So from the bottom down here where the entry could have been to where you're at now, you're up $1,000 on this trade. So it's a good entry, really, because of the thought process behind it. If you're just entering it just to enter it and you don't have a reason of why you entered this, then it's not a great trade, right? I said my original target, I wanted to enter above to the 20 level and I wanted to take it to VWAP. That was exactly what played out. I got a little bit of a further follow through, and my thought process is it's going to rotate from the overnight low. This is a hoe market. Overnight low, red line, to overnight high, green line. In a range day, that tends to be what happens. It cleans it up, or it'll rotate from value area low to value area high and then back down. So look for these type of moves on what you believe to be a range day after 2 trending days to the upside, right? We got a trending day yesterday, and then it based out all afternoon. Overnight, we pushed up a bit, and then we rotated back down to the bottom of that base. Markets don't like to make overnight highs or lows. So if you expect this to be a range day, you clear the bottom of the range and you rotate it back to the high of the overnight range. $9.30 oil inventory just dropped. I didn't get an alert from myoil.com, but I don't trade oil, so it doesn't affect me. It does. Sometimes it might end up affecting this if it's a crazy number. The actual number was EIA crude stocks was 1.338 million over the consensus of negative inventory. So I'm going to guess that oil probably popped a bit. Let's see what it looks like on... Let's see what it looked like. Let me find the CL chart. Oh, it's dipping. Oh, I'm sorry. That's what it should have done, right? Because a higher inventory equals lower pricing, right? So a surprise of we're expecting negative inventories, then you're going to get that rollover in price. If you get it's a double, right? So what am I at? I'm right here. Let's add this to this tab. EIA crude stocks, crude oil stock, right here. This is what you're looking at. You got the number of 1.338. You're looking at the previous was a negative number, and the consensus was a negative number, right? They expected to get a lower inventory. When you expect to get a lower inventory and the news comes out double and positive, more than double positive, that's a shock to the expected price, right? So now if you get that, oh, my fault, sorry everybody. Now you go to look at the oil price, right? Look at that, it dumped. I'll go on to the 5 minute. There you go. As far as oil is concerned, that's a pretty good move. Like, I don't trade oil that often, but that seems to me like it's a good bit of a move for a 5 minute candle. And then you can expect now, maybe we roll down to the VWAP. That's what this is, this blue line here. I don't trade oil. Like I said, I don't know the dynamics of it perfectly. So that could be something that you're looking at if you're an oil futures trader. With oil dipping, it's possibly positive for the equities as well, because it makes things a little bit cheaper. Gas prices go down a bit. It's not directly correlated in any sense of the way, but if oil's dipping, things get cheaper, production gets cheaper, and things that use oil to produce then can now make more money and possibly can drive the equity markets just a touch. It's like I said, it's not directly correlated. I don't use it as an indicator or any sort of information for the equities. That's just a thought that you could have had. Here's that 73 level again. We're right back to it. If I didn't get wicked out here, by these little candles, or if you're still in, I would probably be just below the value area high, only because I think that 73 level is going to have either, if it has a big seller there, it's going to melt off from it. If not, then you'll still be in and you're out. I mean, really depends on if you get there or not. Like, I don't know if I would have moved there. Now you're seeing a little bit of a speed up in the price action. This 1 minute candle is moving a bit faster. So we're at a decision point, right? If price doesn't speed up if there's not people looking to buy and sell there, right? You can see the whippiness of this. You can see the DOM start to speed up a bit and trying to make some decisions. You're still with the delta up here, not really getting a larger bid on a movement on this delta. You can see the actual number here. It's 21, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. So it's pushing up. So then you're looking to see that this price might be holding strong. I don't have any entry criterias, right? From me. You might. I'm just telling you what levels are. What a key line in the sand would be is 16,873.75. And I'm going to put it in there just to show everybody in TradeCaster a 16,873 level to watch. So at least you have that level there. If you want to look at the alerts, you can. Range day hypothesis played out for the most part so far. Could it turn into a trending day? It could. But after an hour of markets and, really, I mean, what did we do? 8:30, we opened. We had an opening range, and now we're still inside that opening range. We're still within the same first 1 minute candle. So it tells you that it's pretty rangy.
I love your sound effects. Sound effects, here you go. Victor Mihai, you asked about doing more than 3 accounts. I don't know, Vic, you don't think that's smart? Oh, no. And why? And maybe I'm gonna ask you why. I'll kick it back to you, Vicky. Vicky Mihai. I think, right? Why do you want more than 3 accounts? And then I'm gonna ask you, have you been successful with 1 account? Like consistent. Like not having to go back to the comp. Funded, stay funded, taking payouts, stay funded, taking payouts, stay funded, taking payouts. For at least 3 months. You can't hold that. I don't think anybody should add anything more than that. You're just paying parallel activation fee, like I care about you getting better because that helps the whole thing.
There is, if you're entering or something in here, I don't know what you're seeing, unless you're seeing a short, or you're staying in the long that we called out from the bottom. But I'm not seeing anything that would tell me, hey, this is a new trade idea, right? As far as the NASDAQ is concerned. I'm not looking at the S&Ps. We're in the middle of the opening range. We haven't even ranged 100 points. NASDAQ likes to move, man. It is 280 ticks of range. If you're looking at anything else, don't hesitate to text it. Type it into the chat. Anything that you want to see, learn, talk about. I did say that I was going to kind of go over some fundamental type thing. I did go over the oil one just now. That was pretty helpful, I think, as far as what you're looking at when it comes to these numbers. You know, everybody always says, oh, there's a number release, I'm going to do this, or there's a number release, maybe we'll get this or that. If you don't understand what the numbers are or what they're telling you, then I don't think you should trade news. I don't think you should use that as anything in your trading other than to not trade when those numbers are out. If that's the only thing that you know about the numbers, or about the fundamental data or news or anything like that, if you only know that it does move the market, and for some reason every time on Wednesday oil moves at 9:30 Central, you don't know why it moves in whatever direction, then if you do know that it moves, then just don't trade. Don't enter anything. Close all your orders. If you're in a trade already, maybe move your stop to break even. Just make sure, or move it to a key point where you think, okay, I might get whipped out of this, because the news will, how it really works at the end of the day is the big people have bots. There's algos. They read way faster than anything that we can read. The news goes in, the number goes in, that bot reacts, the bot does what the bot does. It does not take into account anything else but what it reads and the price. And it'll enter it and it'll exit it, and you'll be out before you even know that you were in, right? So you need to know what the numbers are going to be, have a plan based on those numbers, and that's the only way you're going to trade those. Like I said with the oil, you can go and look at what I just talked about with the oil. You can rewind. We're really kind of not basing anything off of that right now, so it wasn't important. Tomorrow with the CPI levels, we're gonna go look at that tomorrow. I'll talk about this now since I'm not in anything. There's your oil still pushing down. Why? Because we got that surprise glut of oil, right? Our stocks, if you click that, last two readings were negative. We expected another negative reading from oil, and boom, we got a positive number. If you get a surprise positive, you're going to get your price to move. You could read a lot of these. If you go to tradingeconomics.com, you could read a lot of these descriptions. It'll tell you what the thought process is behind it. If we go back to the calendar, tomorrow, these are the red ticket days. These are the red market moving news events that algo is going to react to every single time. So if we're going to look at it, since I talked about it before and nobody has any other questions, core inflation rate, right? Year over year, month over month, and then regular inflation year over year, month over month. What's the difference? And then what's CPI? Okay, core inflation, we're going to read it. The annual core consumer price inflation rate in the United States, which excludes volatile items such as food and energy. So what that means is it's the inflation rate, and it doesn't count your groceries, it doesn't count your gas, it doesn't count any of those electric costs or anything like that. It only counts everything else, right? So any consumer prices for everything else besides food and energy, which is ridiculous, but because that's where the inflation really is, right? Everybody knows. So currently it stood at a 2-year low of 4% in November, and unchanged from October. So that's what we're looking at here with the, this is the month over month. I clicked? Yeah, I clicked the month over month, right? So that's the month over month. That's inflation from month to month to month. The year over year, core inflation year over year, the previous was 4%. We're looking at trying to get down to 3.9%. That's the consensus is 3.8%. That's what people expect this to be. The forecast is what the talking heads say it's going to be. What it ends up becoming is inflation still going down? Yes or no? That's what you want this actual number to come out, right? And then the same thing, inflation rate year over year. We'll call the annual inflation rate in the U.S. slowed to 3.1% in November, the lowest reading in 5 months. Okay, so that's what they're expecting to continue to push this down, right? We were at 6.5 in January 23. Now we're at 3.1%. They're looking to see this decrease even more, and the United States and the Fed want their inflation rate to be at 2%. 2% is their benchmark. If they could keep it at 2% all the time, then you could expect pretty neutral rates and whatnot. But right now, we're still higher. We're still at 4%, but 3.1 is. These are weird readings because I don't foresee them to be very accurate, but that's what they go off of, right? everybody knows that prices are way higher than they are, and they might be going down a little bit, but it doesn't seem like it's going down as much as they're saying. That's irrelevant. The market doesn't care about what's actually happening. They only care about the numbers and what could be happening. So let's say that this number is forecast at 3.1, or the CPI is forecast at 305. Let's call, and then all of a sudden we get a ridiculous 400, or the inflation rate, instead of being 3.1, is back to 4. Or core inflation, instead of 3.9, we're at 4.2, 4.3. You can expect this market to react in a negative way, right? Because we have been seeing a steady decline in inflation. The Fed has raised rates all the way up until last year, all the way through last year up until the last few meetings, and they expect it to start cutting in March. If you get a surprise higher reading, you're going to expect that March number is no longer going to be cut. And they never ruled out that they won't raise again, right? So if we get a surprise hold in March, then the markets are going to get mad. So these numbers are very important. So we're going to go to Fed Watch, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Fed Watch. This is the next meeting. You could go and Google this. Or I could, I'll put this link in the chat in both places, in YouTube and in Tradecaster. Just so you know what I'm talking about, you can follow along. You can look at it yourself. The next FOMC meeting is in 21 days. What they like to do, this whole thing here, I'll read it out. It's, what is the likelihood that the Fed will change the federal target rate at the upcoming FOMC meetings, according to the interest rate traders? So this is based on people who trade interest rates, right? So currently, at the January 31st meeting, we are not expecting any change in the target rate, right? The current rate is between 525 and 550 basis points. The expected release for January, 21 days from now, is, like I said, right, 21 days. 21 days from now, the January rate decision is expected to be 525 and 550. The current is 525, 550. It's not expecting a hike, and it's not expecting a cut. The likelihood of a cut at the moment, people believing that there's going to be a cut, is 4.7% of people, okay? That is the anticipated, priced into the markets already. Now we go to the March meeting, and here we go. The current rate is 525. 64% of rate traders expected a cut, a quarter of a point cut, right? 500 to 525. That's 500 basis points to 525 basis points. We're currently sitting here. 32% of people believe that will stay as hold, and 64%. So the majority of interest rate traders believe that we're going to cut in March. That is a pretty big, sizable amount of people. I believe it was higher when I made my 2 weeks ago note, but you can see if that many people, the majority of people believe that there's going to be even 3.1%. So if you add that on top, 67%, 457, 68% of people believe that there's going to be a cut, and these crazy people think that there's going to be a 50-point cut. So let's say that CPI number now comes in hot. Our NFP number last month was hot. There's still jobs. Unemployment's still kind of low. There's no reason that the Fed really believes that they need to cut, right? So if those numbers come out, expect your price action to reflect that, right? If tomorrow's number comes out hot, this number might change. But also, the most important thing is price action is going to take a dump based on just the outlows. And then after it settles, you're going to maybe see what's going to happen, because it's going to price in what is expected in that March meeting. That's what fundamental trading is sort of about, and that's what using some of the information that's being provided to you to make your more decisions, right? and then now May, nobody believes. So by May, the majority believe that there is going to be a cut. If we start to see March come, no cut. May come, no cut. Well, you can't expect to see that these prices will probably start to dip a bit on these release days. But then what will happen, right? So they believed March that we're going to get a cut. Let's say on that day, on the release date for the 20th of March, they say we're holding steady. Market dumps. I don't know how far it goes, but it's going to probably take a little bit of a fall. But guess what? May, everybody thinks that there's going to be a cut. So you might get that dip down. Boom, we're going to get that dip down. And then, we're going to creep back up. Because, hey, maybe May's the month, right? We're going to creep back up. May comes along, same deal, no cut. You can expect that. Rate, boom. And then creep back up. June could be the month. So you could possibly see, unless something else prices itself into the market, you're not going to get a whole ton of like explosive moves other than reaction to numbers and reaction to cuts. I mean, that's just super basic pricing of information. So if you have any questions about that, you could drop that in the comments. You could also put it, just take it all in, do whatever you want to do. To me, that's just a real general understanding. It's deeper than that. Obviously, you do need to find a way to understand it yourself, price it in yourself. What I used to do and what I might get back to doing, it might not be on this chart here, but let's see. I don't know. So like I said yesterday, I delete a lot of my drawings and then I redraw. Daily. Yeah, I deleted all of them, but if you go to my Instagram, I can pull that up possibly. There's a thing that I do. I price in stuff on the chart. Okay, if there's a major news event, if there's an economic event, I'd like to take that off. I only use that for certain things. Let's see if I can find my Instagram. Give me 1 second. Cool. All right. So here's my Instagram. You can follow me at PolicingPips on Instagram. Pretty easy to PolicingPips. I am not an expert on Instagram, but here we go. Okay. So if you go down to this post here, you can see I will highlight certain areas and I'll write in what I'm pricing in. Amazon beats big, NFP. This is from February 15th of 2022. Ukrainian conflict, Russian pulls back. So the major drivers of what the market's thinking at these times, I will price into these zones. I'll draw a zone. We're looking at rate cuts. We're looking at war. We're looking at conflicts. We're looking at anything that can drive a market. If there's an unexpected thing, I'll pop it in there. If there's an earnings play, Facebook loses, Amazon beats, stuff that's going to hold these markets up, that's what I'm going to look to do, right? So if there's something that can help you do that, the mortgage rates, I think, are expected to go down. I think today was the release for mortgage rates. What was the mortgage rate today? The application. So Wednesday's mortgage rates, they crept up a little bit to 6.81%. That was the target. It was 6.76 was the last one. I was a mortgage broker up until this year. And rates have been just kind of like bouncing back and forth, creeping up and down. They are directly correlated to the Fed funding rates. So if, let's say if May that it comes or March comes and they don't cut, May they come, they don't cut, but there's anticipations that they will, this mortgage rate may dip a bit. As long as it holds, it shouldn't creep up anymore. But any rate hike, this number will pop, right? It'll go from 6.8 to, so like you can see rates have been dipping from October around 8%. We're down right now around 6.81 from this morning. So there is an anticipation that it will creep a bit lower if we do cut, it will dip more. So hopefully we'll get back into the fives. That's just the base. Obviously mortgage rates are all based on your credit worthiness. So this is just kind of their base that a lot of these companies will move off of, right? But that's really not a huge move between 7.6 and 8.1. It's percentages of points. So we got back to this chart. If we're going to do a quick little breakdown, we have cleared that 73 level. We came back down, not even kind of trying to retest it. We came close to it, but when we broke it with some gusto. I mean, as much as we can for the type of day we're having. It was a pretty convincing move. It wasn't like a wick or anything like that. It just pushed up and sat there, right? So my thesis of rotate from the bottom to the overnight high is still intact. If you are just trailing, right? So here, if my trailing rules came into play and let's say I didn't get wicked out at the VWAP, once we broke 73 or got really close to it, I was going to move my stop right to the high of the opening range, right? So the opening range high. Now we broke through it. I realistically believe that the value area high, right, is just below that. If you wanted to trail from here to, like, say 71, I mean, if you really feel like getting stopped out right at 73, but if you move from there to there, right, that's you secure yourself another 200, right? And then if you get the full rotation, to me, this is the high of a value area, right? So that's kind of a place where it'll probably chop around a bit like it is, and then rotate either back down, try to flush the 73s to push it back up some more, get some more orders from down here. But we're just securing portions of our move. It could fail at any time. It doesn't have to touch that overnight high. That's just the trade idea, right? If you were just a set it and forget it kind of trader, and you entered at the low, you put your stop below the overnight low and set your profit at the overnight high, you'd still be in great shape. I mean, you could realistically, I would hope that you're at least break even so you don't lose money on the trade. But, well, I mean, you're looking to get, a nice like $1,800 per contract if you took that trade the way you did and just set it and forget it, right? For me, I'm just securing portions, right? I got stopped out here. I secured the portion. It's $450 for me. If you secure the next portion because you got here, that's it. From there to there, you secured another $345, and then from here to here, you secured another $200. So really, from my trade to here, you've secured $1,000 on that move, right? And then everything after that is gravy because you're just trying to catch portions of the bigger move. If you get stopped out because of your rules, you get stopped out because of your rules. If you get stopped out because you're just because, why? Why did you get out of that trade? Why did you get in that trade? What was your management rules going in, right? I talked about what I did to start that trade. So that's the reason why I believe what I did was right? Like, could I have left it at break even? Yes, but could it have rolled over from VWAP? Absolutely, right? We were below VWAP. There's a good chance it rejects VWAP and rolls back over. From my thesis, I wanted it to go to the highs. It did break through, so to trail to where my original target was the right play in my eyes, because that's where I was targeting. If it runs for the rest of my life, then it is what it is. That's just kind of how it goes. But if you want to trail and get out and trail and get out, right below that 73, 71 value area high level is a good one, right? Because then you're risking, now at this point you're risking 200 to make another 400, right? So it's still a 2-to-1 risk to reward. It's still a new trade within the same trade without adding or taking anything off, right? So a good trailing rule will keep you in some some trades longer. You can hit that home run, but also you can secure the base hit. So it's to me that's kind of how you have to think about these things. I really like that this thesis though played out the way I expected it to, so you can kind of see how it worked out and why my thought process is where it is and what your thoughts could be looking at trades, right? And I wouldn't look to get short, any sort of short, until it at least clears that overnight high, right? Because we've been so long. Obviously, it's pushing up. It's strong. You got confidence in a little bit in your. I mean, we made new highs here, but we haven't made new highs in Delta, so there is sort of a divergence here as far as the price action is concerned, but it's really not too bad because we are still pushing up and it's still kind of moving. So it's not like the exact kind of divergence that I'm looking for. It's just a steady grind to the upside, kind of like how every other day it has been this week. So if your bias is short, you got to wait for a really good price point for you to get that, right? So just give me a minute. I'm going to pee break and come back.
Watching the QPOs when they went NASDAQ European everybody. S&Ps are right at the high of the initial pattern. There's liquidity above again. 9.5 and even.
Market's closed. The 30-minute candle.
All right, back in action. I hope everybody enjoyed that slight breakdown of the numbers and how things kind of work in the markets and why things get priced in and why things don't. On a day-to-day basis, fundamentals kind of don't matter, right? If you're an intraday trader like a lot of us, they do matter in a grand scheme. And if you can understand what the numbers mean and what the price does because of them, then you will have a better understanding of what your bias could or should be. Then you can execute intraday based on that kind of bias, right? If you don't have an understanding of it, the best understanding is to just, when it comes out, stay out. And if that's something you just don't want to deal with, then don't deal with it. It's really not that important intraday. The only important thing about it, like I said, is if you know it's coming, stay out. If you're in a trade and it's profitable, get it to break even or secure some profits, because the algos are going to move the market faster than you could even read the text that's coming out, right? So if you don't have a news trading strategy, don't trade the news. I sometimes do based on levels, right? Like if we were at a certain level, like I always talk about, and if I have an understanding of, all right, if the number comes in as hot, then I think that it's going to react harder negatively than it would positively. Then I would have like say for tomorrow, I don't have this plan. It could be a plan. I got to wait and see what develops. But if we get the inflation to come in hot, I think the market falls harder than if the inflation comes in line and the market going up, right? So if I have that idea, I will set sell stops below levels that I think will get flushed because of a negative number. And you get that sell stop, but also I would have to take profits in, and I take quick in and out because usually it'll whip the direction that you're thinking and then come back and stop you out. So if you don't take profits quickly enough, or if you don't have orders set, then you're likely to not get filled. So realistically, it's only if you're at certain levels, if you expect certain releases, if you expect certain reactions. Don't pick a double-sided, I'm going to set a buy and a stop, right? I'm not going to set a buy order above here and a sell below here, because if the number comes in line and it just weekly pushes above your level, stops you out, and then the market decides, oh, I want to sell off from here because it's a great level to sell from. Then it gets your sell involved. Then it stops your sell out. You just lost 2 losers, full losses real quick within a second, right? So it has to be very a calculated risk when it comes to news. Still nothing telling me to get short, and obviously the markets have slowed down quite a bit. 10 o'clock. I don't see anything on tilt. Tilt is actually pretty heavy long. Seventy 70% long and a basing here. You might see one more wick up to that overnight high and then see what happens. I do believe that they're doing a fire drill today over on Top Step. I don't know when they're doing it or if they did it already. I wasn't paying attention. So I know that my channel is all about getting people funded, keeping people funded, just getting you guys the opportunity to have some capital to trade. And I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I just trade with them. I'm funded by them. I think it's a good way to learn, especially if you don't have any money to risk. If you have a combine or don't have one, usually start with a 50K combine. It's $50, and then you just learn on there. You don't have to rush it. You don't have to risk a ton of money. And then when you do get funded, they do pay out. So here comes a little bit of a sell in the S&Ps. So let's see what happens with the NASDAQ at these highs. Like I said, the tilt got a little long. It's now a little bit balanced out. So maybe this pullback is going to give you that last little push to the overnight high, but it's possible that it just sells over. I will let you know if I hear a fire drill. If you don't know what a fire drill is, Top Step here and there will release out free reset codes to people who are watching their stream. Like I said, right now I'm not entering anything. I'm just watching this market to see if that thesis played out from before, kind of doing some commentary on it. I'm up 450 on the day, so I'm not really looking to give any of that back, especially on the day before CPI. Just 450 a day will keep the day job away, so I'm not so mad about that. Obviously, everybody wants to make more and more and more and more. Also, if I can make one good trade like that in a day, then good, great. If I make a second trade, it's going to be a very, very, very tight risk, high reward type trade that I will probably trail out quite fast unless it moves in my direction quickly and I'm at break even. I just leave it. But that's unlikely to happen at any point between now and the end of this stream. So if you do feel like watching for a fire drill, you can watch both. I don't have them. I have them on in the background here too because I watch the tilt on the top because it helps me in some of my trade decisions. And I'm working on a cool new project, a business that I'm gonna hopefully release within the month. I have to make some phone calls and do some work on that after I get off the stream at 11. Hopefully I'll be able to tell you guys about it pretty soon. If you know about it already, you're in the inner circle, so it's pretty exciting. Hopefully we'll get a good release on it. I'm going to release it over at Tradecaster. Everybody will be able to get involved and hopefully we can build a community out of it. It's not a Tradecaster type software, so don't worry. I'll let everybody know what it is soon. I'll give you some tips and some secrets here. not a really big Starbucks fan. You know what I mean? I will alert the fire drill, or if there's a code, or if there's an email that you have to, or a link that you have to click. I'll just pop it in the TradeCaster alerts, and I'll throw it in my stream too. So in case you're, usually when they do the fire drill, it's got to be, you got to kind of do it pretty quick because they don't want people sharing the code and it lasting all day, and then they get overwhelmed. So if I see it, I'll pop it in there. If if I'm not streaming, I'll just pop it in the stream and the TradeCaster alerts anyway. So if you check over there throughout the day, you could see it. Anybody watching on YouTube, if I'm off the stream, just switch over to Top Step stream if you're in the need.
I agree with why is it difficult. People are asking why are trend days difficult. You go back and look at the chart and say, well, just buy it. Just don't hire all day. Why is it so
Because you have to pay higher. You have to pay higher. You have to pay up. The trend market is trying.
If you decided to listen to me and saw what I saw as far as this liquidity flush on the bottom, and you entered from, I entered above 820, that was just further confirmation for me. However, if you were a little bit more risky and you decided, hey, I'm gonna enter right where he said, if it returns back above, then it's probably a long from 812, and you got filled at, let's say, 813, and you're still in here, which you probably would be, although if you trailed up a little higher, if you got it top ticked somehow, that is per contract $1,665 per contract. I know people trade multiple contracts. I trade multiple contracts. Once my account's a little bit more buffered, I'm not huge size, right? I'll trade 2 or 3 lots, but like I said, that's $1,500 per contract right now. I mean, I got that confirmation, and realistically, I would have been secured below 71 at $1,000 per contract. And a Lambo just drove by out my window. Maybe it's a sign. $1,020 per contract with my trail from my entry, if I was still in and this is where I was at. So if I'm in 2 or 3 contracts, that's $1,000 per contract. The power of futures is huge, realistically. I mean, that's why I switched over to it originally. You don't have to trade big size. You don't have to take huge risk, and markets give you opportunities every single day. If you take advantage of those opportunities, it's up to you. I would have been stopped out right there, right, for like $1,000. I didn't, because I didn't hold any longer than I should have, right? Because I took my first target and ran. But if you were more risk averse and you're looking to hold it from the bottom all the way to that, if you do have that idea that further thesis that overnight high will get flushed, that's a $1,800 trade. So per contract. And I know people trading 5, 10, 15 contracts. That's life changing, right? And it doesn't have to be that way, right? I showed you today. Today was one trade, one thesis, have a plan, execute the plan, and you can still secure yourself $450 on one contract. And if you do that on average, you're going to have losing days. You're going to have days like I had this week where I made $5 on Monday. I made $150 yesterday, and today I'm up $450, right? So as long as your week is a winner and you can start to average, $200 a day for that week, or even a little bit, $100 a day. That's you could pay your bills, and you can still have that side hustle. And then eventually, if you can prove in concept that you have those $100 a days average, futures, obviously it's easy, right? I mean, it's not easy, but it's quick. You can the money's there to make You have to have your strategy. You have to have a good way of thinking about things and understanding your downside as opposed to your upside. But if you can do that consistently, make your $100 a day. That's $500 a week, right? Then okay, I'm doing pretty good with that 100 with my strategy. Maybe I go up a little bit on my size, and then that becomes $200 or $300 or $500 a day average. Before you know it, I mean, the futures, like I said, it'll give it to you. You just have to be calculated and understand what you're doing. And when you take your losses, take them and don't FOMO back in. Don't look to chase another one. If you miss this entry here, there's no reason that you should be entering here or here or here. Maybe here on the re-break of the VWAP for a pushback up, but there was nothing telling me if I would have got stopped out here to be like, oh, I should probably enter again. But the only thing that's telling me that in my head is me, right? I need to make back that money. I was up $600. I need to make back that $200 that I lost out on because I got stopped out. You can't think that way. Every single trade has to be its own idea. Without the influence of this trade, your last 10 trades, without the influence of this trade or the next trade. It has to be its own thing. Because once you start doing what I did, I've done it. And I'm just trying to avoid it every single day of fighting that battle of enter. Get my money back. Or I need to make a couple more. I have a target of $1,000 a day and I'm at 900. I can make that extra 100. And as soon as you start thinking that, you're going to start giving back from that 900. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use your previous trades and the ability for that strategy to work out into your thesis for moving forward, but the effects, the financial effects of those trades shouldn't affect your next trade as far as why you're doing it. If it's a failing strategy, right? If my strategy for today was range bound day rotation to the other side of the range, and the last 10 times I took a range bound trade, it was a trending day. Like maybe I shouldn't take another range bound idea until I can prove that I know when that's coming, right? That's a different than, oh man, I lost my last 5. I need to make back the next 5. That's a different mindset, right? So it's all about mindset. And I fight that every day of my trading life, and I think everybody fights that every day because that's all I ever think about. Everybody's doing this to make money. If you're not doing it to make money, you're not doing it, right? Like, you wouldn't be doing this if you didn't want to make money from doing it. That's the point of why that mental battle happens in everybody's mind. We did come back. That fade from the value area, not the value area. The value area high is at 73, but the fade from the top of this value zone that I have drawn up, right back to the VWAP area, right? So a lot of times, like I said, for this trade down here, my target was VWAP. For this trade up here, if you decided that, hey, the tilt was getting a little heavy long, I got a little bit of divergence on my delta. I'm at a top of a zone. If I re-enter the zone, it probably will rotate back down to the bottom of the zone. Target VWAP. I mean, it just seems to be a good mean reversion VWAP target where it's the volume weighted average price. People want to buy from there. They want to sell from there. Just like it's a magnet. And then until it stops working, I mean, it's a good reason to kind of grab profits at those areas. And to have a little bit of a bat, like right now, like I probably would have got stopped out at this high, right? Because I would have trailed to here and hoping that it got to my full target. I don't want to give back all of this because the VWAP is a zone, right? It's, a few ticks over, a few ticks below. It's not an exact spot. So I would count this as a full VWAP retracement pretty much, It will tick it, here and there. But would I have gotten stopped? Yeah, I would have gotten stopped because I would have trailed from here. If I would have entered re-entry here to there, another 450. Because my risk reward at that point is no longer worth the full risk, right? Because I want to get to this. If I'm through here, and I'm going to try and make another 120 to risk another 150, right? It's not worth that further risk, right? I would risk 1-to-1. Reevaluate your risk as you're trading. While you're in your trade, give yourself reasons to be in and out. Like I said, you don't have to stream if you're in here and you're thinking, hey man, like I don't want to stream, but I want to journal, but I don't like to write things down or whatever. Download OBS, download Loom, I don't know, any sort of screen recording software, and just talk out your trades. Listen to yourself, have a reason for what you're doing, and then as you're filming it, you can fast forward through all this downtime where I'm talking about nonsense or fundamentals or anything. You might be just not seeing anything, so you're not saying anything. You can delete all that time that you didn't see anything, or maybe you can go back and say, oh, I saw this here, right? Like this trade maybe would have played out based on certain fundamentals, but you never would have saw it again if you didn't talk it out, right? Because you don't have the tilt on here. You don't have certain emotional things on here. So if you're not talking things out to a recorder and reviewing it later, then you don't really get the full benefit of just looking at the chart and be like, oh yeah, I could have definitely shorted this, because you don't have a clue of what you're looking at here. You don't see this in real time. You just see a finished print, and everything looks great when it's finished. So I would definitely recommend. It's helped me a whole lot. If you record your screen and look at it, or you don't have to stream. Like I said, you don't have to stream. You can just record it and then come back and review it later. I put my good microphone back up, so just let me know if it sounds better or worse or louder, or if it's just good. That's fine. I'm cool with that. Just let me know. Yeah, today definitely I will be done at 11. Like I said, my streams won't be exactly to the schedule. If you're on Tradecaster, that I have posted on the top left, or on my Instagram if you've seen it, for this week or even next week, just because I am just working out the bugs. I may change that schedule here and there, but I am working on a side business thing that I'm working on all week this week and next week to just try to hammer out some final details on it. I will try and stick my best to those schedules. Obviously, I work a full-time job. You decide what I do. I don't need to tell you because of my username. But you can expect to find me on here every morning, at least by the open. I like to drop my son off at school, kind of gets my day going without being on a chart or looking. I don't, like I said, the way I trade, I don't need a ton of information. I don't need a lot of preparation because I'm in tune with the markets pretty frequently. I'll check charts throughout the day here and there. All I need is my overnight highs, my overnight lows, my previous day levels, and certain zones. And then I kind of react to price action as it's going. When you start to focus on a single product or a couple products, let's say S&Ps and NASDAQ, or oil, NASDAQ, gold, if you start doing things like that, then you'll be able to really develop a relationship and an understanding of how the market moves, and you don't need to sit down. Like I know Deck gets to his pre-market stuff super early in the morning, but he's trading a bunch of stocks, right? He's got to comb through news events. He's got to comb through what's a hot stock, what's an IPO. I mean, really, like a lot of things that, as a futures trader, for me, I don't need to comb through all that stuff. I like to know a lot of things. I am very detail oriented, but to get to this computer and chart and to give you any information other than the levels, it's not necessary, right? I am pretty accessible. If you want to message me on Instagram, I'll answer. If you message me on this Tradecaster platform, I don't know how to get alerts on my phone. I might try and figure that out, but I can figure that out as well. I am going to work on trying to get maybe reset my Discord a little bit to where it's actually functional, where other people use it, and I will answer stuff on there. Overall, it's every day. I'm just gonna send you out. So every week, you'll definitely get Sunday night or Monday morning, depending on the week or what type of news is coming out. I usually do my pre-market, my weekly analysis Sunday night when I get home from work. I get home late at night, so it'll be released sometime late night, early morning, Sunday night, Monday morning. Monday mornings, like I said, I drop kids off at school. I go and I get the charts by 8:15, 8:30, and we get rock and roll. We'll do that till 11ish. Yesterday I went to 11:30 because I was looking at a trade that I didn't end up executing. And then I did, but I just broke myself even. And then some Tuesdays and Wednesdays based on news releases, economic numbers. If I had a good day in the morning, I'm not going to come back on in the afternoon. Neither should you. And if you're doing well in the morning, take that afternoon and enjoy it. But I'm off on Tuesday and Wednesday, so I have more opportunity to stay a little longer and do a little bit more, or come back for a close. But this week and next week, I'm definitely not going to be on for that time frame, just because I'm just kind of bugging out TradeCaster, and I'm just getting back into the routine, and we're gonna start making those Tuesdays and Wednesdays an as needed later stream. So if you have questions, or if I want to do like a class or something, and we get a lot more people involved, maybe I'll do the class at like 1 or 2 o'clock, or maybe even noon, depending on what we're doing. So it's all going to be kind of adaptive, but I just wanted to kind of give that heads up as far as what times I'll stream and everything like that to the TradeCaster members and on YouTube while I'm on here. Price is not doing anything. 73 is a key level still, right? We peaked above it, we peaked below it, and now we're literally sitting right at it. So when I send out these levels, they are not an alert for you should go short, you should go long. It's a level you should look at and understand what is happening at that level. What are the participants thinking? How is price reacting at that level? Because it has spent a lot of time there, it has done a lot of reaction to that level, and that's how you make an educated choice in your trade and what you want to do. And like I said yesterday, I took a short and Ray took a long, and we both made money. So, it's possible. Oh man, what a day. These are the kind of days I like. For me, I like to get that trade out of the way. I mean, it took until 9, half hour, a little more than a half hour to get something that's set up for me to go. But if you can be patient, and if you can have your thesis get you to a level, then you can play it out. Like I said early, I wanted to think that this was a good short, but nothing. I mean, I was probably like one confluence away from this, maybe wicking above here and fading back down for me to decide to take that as short, but it never did that last added level of what I wanted it to do to take it down here. And if I were to take it down from here, I would have liked it to have been below VWAP to start, which is also another negative confluence, right? So this was good, but also at the same time, this VWAP being above here and then also just not wicking off sort of didn't give me that little, like I said, I don't think I had enough to make this choice. It would have been a good trade, obviously, $1,000. Then I probably would have never even ticked this one because, if I'm up $1,000 that quick, that early, one trade, I'm likely to give it back if I'm starting to force other things. But then when you see something like this, I mean, that's my setup, right? That was what I wanted to get at the top. I wanted to get that liquidity grab below a level and then return back into a range before running. Didn't get that here, got it here. And that's why I took this one over the first one. I don't know if anybody's seeing anything that they want to bring up. I do not have any current thoughts other than to sit on my hands and not take a trade. If you're up a little bit, if you're flat, there's nothing here telling me, hey, let's do something right this second. We are sitting just above the opening range. Nothing has the price hasn't gone very much of anywhere on the day, especially for a NASDAQ day. I mean, the hypothesis was for it to be an inside range bound type day. We were able to capitalize on it once. I mean, some people maybe twice, maybe even able to catch bottom tick to top tick based on the trail criteria. But for me, I caught half of the move, and I'm cool with it. Mm-mm. I'm gonna guess that there's gonna be some reset code soon-ish on the top step. Like I said, my big thing about my stream is I want to help people do their best getting funded, doing their best getting any sort of opportunity to make money, save money to make money. And if you're in any sort of top step combine, usually when they send out these reset codes, it's kind of quick now, so you kind of be on top of it. I will alert any sort of reset code, anything that will benefit the community of future traders. I think Top Step, I've had experience with multiple prop firms as far as futures and in the Forex space. When I started in the Forex space, I got funded by Fivers and FTMO and some of the stuff. I mean, some of the rules, and I was really kind of disenfranchised by the whole thing, and rules have changed, and I've been with Apex and I've been with Top Step and I've been funded by all these people. I think at the most part right now, longevity wise and the changes that they've made, Top Step is still, the Top Step. They give good education, good resources. It's kind of just up to you to make the money that you're going to make and understand why you go on till why, and then why you don't take money out of the markets. I mean, really, I know why I haven't at times, and I know why I do. And if I can just stick on the plan, being with Top Step, they give you every opportunity to be successful. So I haven't heard very much of negatives other than people not liking rules, which is silly because those rules keep you accountable. They keep you in accounts, and they provide you opportunity to keep being a longer term trader. And anything that starts to sound too good to be true usually is, and a lot of these other companies are starting to turn out to be something like that, where it seems like they're just trying to sell combines more so than anything. Obviously, Top Step is trying to sell combines. That's how they make money. But also, they do have an A-book. And if you can get to that point where you're going to A-booked, you're in good shape. So don't be scared off by some of these other firms. And you can try anything that you like, and I'll give my feedback on any of the ones that I've ever dealt with. I haven't dealt with them recently, so I've been pretty loyal to Top Step. And like I said, I have my own personal brokerage account that I do trade here and there. But as of lately, I've been trying to focus on one account at a time, and I got refunded with this 100K. So I'm working this, and I'm going to try my best to just focus on the one at a time. Take my withdrawals from here, and then work on and I'll try and get A-booked. I'm not A-booked yet, but that's the main goal of this account. And then also with Tradecaster, I want to build that community. I want to get people to get funded, and then besides getting funded and taking withdrawals, teach you what they want from you over at TopStep or over at any other prop firm, or even with your own account, right? If you could build up a prop account, you could build up your own account if you have the funding for it, and learn how to keep it and take the money from it, and be a longevity trader and do this for a long period of time, more so than just let's take quick big withdrawals and then manipulate the system a bit, because that'll help you. I mean, maybe you'll make some money that way. Maybe if you're a big 15 lot guy and you want to take the trade that we just took and pull out 15 grand, that's fantastic. I'm all for that. But also at the same time, if you blow up and you only took a few withdrawals and you're not in it for the long term, I'm not saying you can't trade 15 lot. If you're good enough to do it, right? Just saying, limit your risk. Don't try and go max loss every day or max gain. Take what the market gives you and then pull it back out. I think really you guys are, if you're hanging out with me, you kind of understand what I do already, and where I could take it and where you could take it. So TopStep, I'm letting you know when they do their release. I'm going to watch over there. If I'm a little quiet, just trying to alert you when they're able to give you an opportunity as far as a reset's concerned. If you have questions about how to get funded, or if you need a link, I don't have any affiliate links or anything for a TopStep at all right now. I'm going to try and maybe get some discount codes or whatever soon, but that's going to be kind of part of my other business venture. So I'll let you know when that does come from. I'm going to use this community to help build that community and build. I'm not going to sell courses, so don't worry about that. That's not what it's about. We're going to get people help being funded, and we're also going to provide some good products. Like I said about the price action, it is pre-CPI, range-bound dead trading. Will something happen at some point today? Maybe. You might get one more good move that you can trade for sure, but you got to know what you're going to be doing. You look at, this last 10, 13, well, let's include this, 10, 12 to now, 10:37, the last 15 plus minutes. We have gone absolutely nowhere. We have stayed, for NASDAQ, a 86 tick range. That is, and it's nowhere, right? We're still sitting just on the top end of the opening range. So really that's it. We opened at the bottom here, this blue, and the first minute went that many candles, and that's that many ticks, and we've just kind of sat in there. So if you're expecting a big move out of here, you got to really kind of wait and see what kind of confirmations you're going to get. You got to wait for maybe a breaking news or something that's going to move this market out of this range. And right now, nothing's telling me that. You probably could still get that grind here to the upside, clear out that overnight high, because we still haven't done that yet. We got close, but it doesn't have to, right? It got close enough. 897. It got into that range of where it was the high, right? So it doesn't have to clear it all the way out, but it's a good area to look at.
And I think it's also important to talk about how many live accounts might have been closed, and then how many people are getting called up to live, because it's a pretty good indicator of how people are doing.
I'm kind of clicking through some Tradecaster stuff. Really looking forward to utilizing this platform a little bit better. I think it's fantastic. It's all for traders. Deck is obviously a big time trader with equities and options. So he's been streaming forever. I've been watching him for a while. So, but only here and there on YouTube. now being involved with TradeCaster, I could see the value of it and how it can just be, traders over here. Like I said, if you're bored of my future stream because the Nasdaq's going absolutely nowhere and the S&P's literally hasn't moved a tick, it just finally moved a tick. It's really a dead day ish. But like I said, we called out the opportunities at the certain levels, right? From that 73 level, I took the one trade from the bottom end of the overnight range, and we're looking at the top end of this range here. So like I said, it's patience, but also at times if you're looking for entertainment, then you might want to switch over to another stream, maybe where there's equities where they can switch around to a bunch of different products. I did go over oil a bit earlier because of that number, but as you can see, let's see. There we go. So like I said earlier about oil, like I'm not an oil trader in any sense, but we were looking to see if that'll return back to the VWAP because of that inventory increase that they was unexpectedly a lot higher than they thought. We did get that big sell-off and came down and ticked off at the VWAP. So that played out pretty well. Not that I was taking that trade or even thinking about it, or I don't trade oil at all, but talking about that fundamental analysis and sort of what those numbers do, that's where we got that. But if you want to go and get some entertainment or something like that, if that's what you're doing this for, then you can go into TradeCaster, go into lobbies, and you can check out everybody else who's trading live and maybe get some insights into some other stuff while we're not taking trades over here. But realistically, my goal here is to just kind of talk you through what I'm thinking, where I'm coming from as far as why price is doing whatever it's doing at these levels, so I can give you a little bit of a breakdown. And then you can make your decisions based on that, right? I'm up a good day. I'm up 450 on one trade. I'm not looking to give that back on just an average bad entry on low volume, right? There's not a ton of volume right now. There's not a lot of price action. We're waiting for tomorrow's data. So I love when you're in here watching my TradeCaster stream, or if you're over here on YouTube, it's great. I'm super appreciative. Hit the like button if you can. Subscribe, because I do go live every day, 8:30 ish. Right, I'm usually on right before the U.S. Open, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, wherever you are on the West Coast, whatever time you guys get the market to open. I don't pretend to be a time zone expert. I know it changes with the daylight savings times and all that with Arizona and California. I think it's 6 a.m. open, 6:30 in the morning open. We're looking at this 73 level. You got a pretty good push above it again. Could this, you got Delta now kind of being congruent. There is that room to that overnight high still. So potentially, now that we did get this break above this little 83 tick range and a hold above that key 73 level, that you might get that next push up, that next leg to the high of the day. But I don't anticipate it to be a fast move. I don't anticipate it to be very convincing. So really, entry wise, there's nothing there that says, hey, now I'm going to get in now just because. I'm just kind of talking through what I'm seeing, just because if I'm on here, I'm at least going to give some value while I'm here.
There's not one size fits all ways to do things, but shout out and a shoulder tap to her. Breaks a little bit this week.
If you have any questions, concerns, thoughts on what you see, maybe trade idea, and you're kind of second guessing yourself, you can always type it into the chat in TradeCaster or in YouTube. I will look at both. I'm pretty much an open book. If you have any questions about me, what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, how long I've been doing this, quick little breakdown. I started in 2017 with Forex. I always was interested in markets and stuff, but I never knew how to trade or anything like that. I found myself scrolling through the death scroll on social media a lot when I was at work on downtime, and I wanted to avoid that death scroll, social media, mindless scrolling, and I wanted to do something that would benefit me. And so I started researching markets and doing things like that and learning how to trade. And instead of taking up my time with stuff that didn't matter, I took up my time with learning and growing and figuring out why markets do what they do, or what I can trade, or I made mistakes and I learned along the way, but I was able to fill that death scroll with something a little bit better. So since 2017, I started in Forex over there, understanding the dynamics. I had a great mentor in their top traders. I think I have links still in my YouTube bio. You could always go over there and learn if you want to learn about Forex fundamentals, trade, money management, all that stuff. They're really, really good. They got good courses, and Kyler and Cleveland are two like top end financial analysts. So they taught you how to think about markets in the way that I think about markets today. They're a little bit longer term trading with the FX, so more swing trade stuff. They have really great strategies, fundamental analysis, and all that. So they profit pretty well on that stuff. I switched over to equities because I wanted to learn about stocks and options and all that, and I did okay with all that stuff. But then I fell into futures. Really loved them. I love the opportunity to kind of just have one thing that I can trade on a consistent basis, understand how it works, and really build a relationship with the product, and then get into it. I was in the S&Ps, and then I switched over to NASDAQ, and then I really kind of found my niche in NASDAQ. The S&Ps I do trade here and there time to time. I try not to trade anything else. I do look at the oil and gold and stuff, just to look at them. If I do see opportunities in them, I will attempt to try and take them. Moving forward, like maybe if I get a lull in the NASDAQ where I can't find an opportunity on a day-to-day basis, like maybe for a week where I can't find a trade, maybe I'll start looking into those other routes. But futures really gives me an opportunity you have set risk, you understand contract sizes and all that, then you're really going to be able to capitalize and mitigate your risk, as well as find those opportunities to wherever you want to go. So that's why I fell into futures. I did dabble it was almost, I think it was end of 2021 into 2022. I got into an equities prop firm. They were fantastic. I was just undercapitalized. I was learning the equities things and getting fills and searching for stuff. So I basically was break even, but when you're break even in equities, you're getting feed out. And you also got to pay for a lot of platform fees and things like that. So being undercapitalized, yes, you have good buying power. I did get my license, which was awesome as far as an equities trader, Series 57, passed my SIE. So I got even more of an in-depth understanding of how markets work, legal implications of things and stuff like that. So if I do want to get back into the equity side, I will go and work my way back into that space, because I do like that prop space where it's not that you're not risking your own capital. You do have to put some of your own money in. However, they do give you the buying power, the tools, and resources that allow you to grow pretty good as a trader. So if anybody is interested in that route, I do recommend it. It's pretty cool if you're interested in equities. Like I said, I've fallen into this futures niche, and I do enjoy how the opportunities are right now for myself. If I do change, or if I add that extra feature of where I'm back with that prop firm, they always said that they'll take me back. But I have to build up a little bit of equity, and more so time devotion to the equities markets, right? You do have to be up early. You do have to get into which stocks are hot, which stocks are not. And that's really like, if you're in TradeCaster, that's Dex forte. I do enjoy it, but at the moment I do have a good relationship with futures, so I'm not rushing back to the equity side until I'm really kind of ready to do it. But I do have my license. It's not active until you're back affiliated with a firm, but you can always check it on Broker Checker. If somebody ever says that they're licensed or not licensed, or with a firm or without a firm in the equities world, if you go to brokerchecker.com, you can look up their name, and that will tell you if they're lying or not, right? So it can show you a little bit of transparency in the markets.
All right.
I'm going to take one more quick pee break before I come back and close out the day. Give me 1 minute.
Anybody that gets called up to a live account is now going to be receiving shiny gold trader certificate. So only the best of the best are receiving people that call up to live accounts. You got Michael, founder and CEO signature on there. I believe also, and this is kind of every trader out there should be aiming to receive this at some point in time in their journey. They strive for it. Great job to the marketing team, creative.
Oh, yeah.
You get one of these when you earn a less money, but this one's a little shiny.
We are back for the last 10 minutes of my 8:30 to 11 stream for the day. I appreciate everybody that's watched for the whole time. Anybody that's came in or out, commented. I like interacting with people, so if you do have questions or anything, let me know. I'm going to get my Discord cleaned up a bit. I technically have 2 of them that I need to fix. But if I can clean it all up, get it all set up, I will resend out that link just so people can have a direct contact line to me, throughout the night. If you have futures questions, any sort of questions, we can interact on there all day, even when I'm not on the screen, because I'll get alerts on my phone. But when I'm on here, on Tradecaster, on YouTube, I will be trying to, interact as much as I can while I'm on here. So just try and interact through the chats. We're still messing around with this 16,873 level. There's just been no movement, and like I said, really on the open, I mentioned that it's going to probably be a range type day with the CPI data coming out tomorrow. With just kind of how the market's moved over the past 2 days, with that big. Let's go back to the NQ chart so you can see it. I'll put it on a daily, and I'm going to get rid of this VWAP. And I'm going to go back to here, get rid of VWAP, and get rid of my value areas. This is how I have everything drawn up. This arrow here that I have above, that's technically a Fibonacci extension from this run to here on the pullback to possibly where the targets of, if we do come into a breakout of an all-time high. That's kind of where I would expect it to be, and kind of the timing where I thought it would be. So I haven't really brought it up much, but that's kind of the level right there where I'm looking at for the markets kind of to end up and then maybe start to fizzle if we do get that breakout of the all-time high again. But that's for another day. You can see here we had the big push down last week, the indecision and the accumulation at the bottom, and then this week, Monday and Tuesday, decent days up. I mean, yesterday we did pull back a bit off the high, but we pushed right into this zone that I have here. Today is showing as a push up, but it's really not that much of a push up. If we go back down to the 30 and the hourly, we did need a little bit of a sort of rest after this giant candle that we had on Monday. It did seem like it was going to be some sort of inside type of day. This wick on the top here is from the overnight session, so that was just like the attempt above. Like if we go back down to the hourly, right? This was the push down up into last week, and then this was Monday. This was the overnight failure down, and then we pushed right back up yesterday, right? So the overnight sessions was here and here to here. The actual U.S. Open was this market here and this market here. So that's 2 decent up days during the market hours. Yesterday we based out at the end of the market hours. We faded a bit overnight and then popped to this high, right? So now you have this big range here for that day on Monday. Tuesday you had a pretty decent range here, and now today this was the overnight pop and then fade overnight. That was your overnight range, and then look at this. I mean, really, we went up, touched above it, and back down. And I mean, really, we're right in the middle of where it opened. So we're in that inside part of no real bullish push because we don't know what the number tomorrow is going to bring, right? So that's where we're kind of at the moment. Just not a convincing push up or down. We're at a level that's pretty important in my eyes. It's not that it's going to hold or if it's going to break, but it's a congestion area where decisions are made. So that's where I'm at with this as far as levels are concerned. I mean, realistically, could we continue up tomorrow? Numbers come in line and everything is kind of as expected. Do I think that we're going to get a strong, like, immediate push? No. But I think it will still continue to rally until we decide to get either a rate cut or a hold or a raise or any sort of forward guidance from Jerome Powell or anything like that. So we could fade back down, look for that long again, but that's just really kind of where we're at. We've just been sitting, the opening range, sitting right on top of that one first minute candle of the day. The red and the blue lines is the open, and then that's the close of the 1 minute candle. That's the high and the low of the opening range. We opened, we went up, we sat, we dipped below it, cleared out the overnight lows. We took the long from there. We were expecting a rotation to the overnight highs. My first target was the VWAP. I took it to VWAP, and then I trailed my stop there as we pushed above, anticipating if we did continue, we were going to hold VWAP and go, which we did, but I got stopped out because, hey, it was my initial first target, and this easily could have rolled back over and took me out. So I was perfectly satisfied with taking my initial trade target idea. Hindsight is always easier to be like, yeah, you could have just left it at break even, and then when it got all the way up here, you could have took it out. But that's not how I manage my trades. Everybody manages their trades a little bit differently. My trailing rules had me get stopped out, and that's fine. We didn't have any other entries yet. The only other one I saw was the tilt and the divergence in Delta pushing above this zone that I have here and looking to re-enter the zone and fade it back down to VWAP, which ended up happening, but I didn't have the confluences that I wanted for another trade. I just didn't think that was a well enough convicted trade to take to give back any of my profits for the day. If I had no trades on and I was looking for another one, possibly this could have been met all my entry criteria, but it didn't for now, so I didn't take it. And then ever since, we've been just stuck in the middle of my liquidity zone, right above the opening range. So you're not really seeing much action. And like I said, because tomorrow we did need sort of a rest day after the last 2 days. The big move down, we did return back now up into the middle of that range as well. So we're kind of just wait and see till tomorrow. 3 more minutes and I'm going to shut this stream down. If you are interested in getting a reset, if you're in a Top Step Combine of any sort, when I get off, maybe switch over to Top Step TV on YouTube. I believe today they are doing a free reset. So if you don't have a combine, it's not going to help you. But if you have a combine, you might be close to blowing it, or if you're you have maybe a couple of combines and you need a reset code, go over there. They'll send out that form eventually sometime today. I don't know what time. So like I said, I'm not going to stay on the stream all day, especially come 11 o'clock. Yeah, we might get some moves, but realistically, nothing that I'm going to see for the rest of the day is going to make me change my mind on taking the profits that I made and giving them back, right? We're going to go enjoy the day. We're going to make some phone calls. We're going to work on the other business that I got going on, and then come next week, do it all again. But obviously, we'll be back again tomorrow morning. I got work back again tomorrow, so 11 o'clock stream will be done. Hopefully we'll make a bunch of money in the first 5 minutes and we can just chat the rest of the day. If you have any questions or concerns or anything like that, just let me know. I do. Let's see. If I switch this to 5 minute, what it looks like. Just a look at all those wicks on this 5 minute, right? It's just indecision. I start at 8 o'clock Central Time. 8:30, I should say. 8:30 Central. I drop my son off at school at 8, so I usually get back on right before. It'll be before 8:30, but I'll say I'm going to be on by open, ready to go. If I get on a little bit earlier, 8:15-ish, you're not going to get, I'm not going to make any trades pre-market. I always am waiting for market hours. I want liquidity. I want my levels to play out. So I don't make trades pre-market. I know a lot of people do overnights, and I know a lot of people do pre-market trades. If your level's set up and that's your plan, that's your plan. But for me, like I said, 8:30 a.m. Central Time, 9:30 Eastern, I will 100% be on Monday through Friday, unless, like I said, if I have training or anything like that where I have to be at work early, or if I'm working late, I will put a alert out. I'll let everybody know. If I can come into TradeCaster beforehand and say, hey, guys, sorry, I'm not going to be on today, or I might be on later today, just based on scheduling, obviously, because I do work for now. I would like to have a hard choice to make in the future on doing this 100% of the time, but that's up to you guys. And if you like what I do, I'll keep making content, I'll keep streaming, keep giving my ideas out. If you can, I'm sure on TradeCaster you can still rewind this stream. If not, you can go over to my YouTube and check out today's stream if you missed any of it and you want to know why I entered a trade at the time that I did, why we entered it. I did go over, I don't trade oil, but I did go over why the number drove oil prices down today, on why you should pay attention to CPI tomorrow. We went over the FedWatch tool, which is the link there. That tool is pretty good as far as understanding what the Fed is doing with interest rates, basis points, and their Fed funding rate, I should say. All that information is in here. You can always rewind the YouTube video. You can do that. Anything that you have questions on, shoot me a message in here. Eventually I'll see it. I got to figure out a way to pull it up on my phone if I'm not streaming. I'm going to set up my Discord better. There is a link to it in the YouTube, but it's not set up correctly. I got to get that going better. I've really been using this week to bug out stuff on TradeCaster and on YouTube. I've kind of just tried to direct everybody over to TradeCaster and see how good it can, the opportunities that are better over there at TradeCaster for traders for sure. So 8:30 Central to 11. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to cut out. I'm going to get some other things done. January 22nd, we are going to have all the new traders over on TradeCaster. You can watch me. I think there's a bunch more people that are going to take this pretty seriously. So if you want to be one of those streamers, reach out to Deck. If you don't want to be a streamer, you want to just watch us, you could always come over to TradeCaster and check out all the streamers. Like I said, I'm here till 11, and I know people that stream all day, so you can go over when I'm done and head over there and do that. So I'm going to actually switch this because it's not a $150 day, it's a $450 day, and that is good enough for me. Take the money and run. If you see a setup, have a reason, execute your trade based on a plan, and I'm going to see you guys tomorrow morning at 8:30. I'm only trying to get on here at 8:15, and we can talk through some levels, but I'll alert the levels a little bit earlier tomorrow, overnight, previous day level settlement, and I'll also include the S&Ps if you want to do that as well. So until then, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.